farmers had the whip hand. Every penny they earned was needed at home to supplement the wages of the menfolk, and it could mean the difference between food being on the table or going hungry. At 11 years of age, Molly and Fanny were the oldest in the little group of friends, the youngest being Bertha, a red-cheeked child of 7 who had a continually dripping nose. None of them could read or write, but then no one in their hamlet of 10 cottages, situated a few miles west of Ryton, could. Schools were attended by farmers' children, and those who didn't live hand to mouth. This was never questioned. It was how things were. "So," Fanny returned to the matter in hand, "you'll be home afore your dog gets back, lass. Me mam says they'll all be drinking and making merry till the early hours, if there's free beer going." Mrs. Howard might be right, but what if she wasn't? Molly asked herself. Everyone was scared of her da, but no one knew what he was really capable of, not even her brothers. Only she and her mam. The thought pressed down in her chest like a heavy weight, making the secret harder to bear. Her mam had warned her she could never speak of it, or her da would be taken away and they'd end up in the workhouse. But sometimes she felt she would rather that than keeping silent. It had been 18 months since the night when Kitty, her sister, had broken down and told their parents she had fallen for a bairn, and her only 14 and without a steady lad. She had heard Kitty climb out of the pallet bed they'd shared, their 2 brothers sleeping in a similar one on the other side of the room, and then go downstairs. Curious as to what was the matter, she had crept to the top of the steep ladder that separated the upstairs of the house from the downstairs and listened to what was being said. Their parents hadn't yet retired to their double bed to one side of the kitchen, but had been sitting in front of the range. She had heard her sister tell them that she had been taken advantage of by one of the vagabonds who tramped the countryside, and that he had forced her. Kitty had cried, saying she had been too frightened and ashamed about what had happened to tell anyone, but now, some months later, she knew she wouldn't be able to hide her changing shape much longer. Their mother had sworn and carried on, but strangely, Molly had heard nothing from their da. From her vantage point at the top of the ladder, she'd watched him put on his cap and jacket, still without saying a word. After he'd handed Kitty her coat, they had walked off into the darkness. That had been the last time she had seen her sister. She had sat, shivering and waiting, for what had seemed like hours, and then her da had walked in. Alone. She hadn't caught what he'd first said to her mam, but when her mam had let out a cry, it had startled her so much she'd nearly pitched headfirst down the ladder. Then his voice, grim and cold, had filtered up to her. "Be quiet, woman, you'll wake the others, and remember, she's got what she deserved. You didn't think I was going to stand by and let her drag my name through the mud, did you? They'd all be at it behind me back, Stan and the rest. I can hear 'em now. Josiah McKenzie, him that likes to play the gaffer, and he can't even stop his own daughter whoring." "But you said she was forced." "I know what you said, and I don't care, all right? Whether she was forced or not don't matter. The end result is the same. She's got a belly full. I've got enough on my plate without feeding some bloke's fly blow. Now, here's what we're going to say." Terrified, she'd crept back to bed without hearing any more, pulling the thin blankets over her and curling into a little ball, missing the warmth of Kitty's body. Her da had hurt her sister. He'd done something bad. She knew he had. The next morning, when she and her brothers had gone down for breakfast, her da had told them that Kitty had run off in the night. He'd been out looking for her this morning, he'd added, but she'd gone. She had said nothing, but when she had been in the fields with her mother, she'd whispered what she'd heard the night before. Her mam had rounded on her and told her to shut her mouth, threatening her with the prospect of the workhouse if she said a word to anyone. "Kitty ran off in the night," she'd hissed. "You say different, and your da'll skin you alive, you hear?" Her parents